I challenged myself to do 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups every single day for 30 days straight with no rest. And despite struggling with constantly sore muscles, some internal bleeding and painful calluses, I succeeded the challenge and learned 3 extremely powerful lessons that I think can make a positive impact in your life, especially if you're in a slump. But before I reveal what they are, let me talk about why I'm even doing this in the first place. From a young age, I've always been physically active, and a lot of my hobbies surrounded physical activities, such as gymnastics, dance, calisthenics. But during my adventure in Japan this year, I unfortunately did not keep up with my fitness goals. So when I got back, I felt extremely weak and felt like a shadow of my former self. My friends even told me that I looked skinnier. I was pretty unhappy with myself in regards of my physical capabilities and appearance. That's why I decided to challenge myself to regain my strength and go beyond. And the key is consistency. I previously did a push-up and pull-up challenge last year that made me feel great and in shape, so I decided it's time for round 2. The name of the game, 30 days of 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups. Alright, so here were the rules. It didn't matter how many I did in a row, as long as I achieved a grand total of 50 clean pull-ups and 100 push-ups, all with good form, before I sleep, that was a successful day. Phase 1, the first 30 days. So we begin the challenge. Having been out of shape for so long, I decided to try an initial test to figure out what my max reps were. For pull-ups, it ended up being around 8 before I had to drop, and for push-ups, it was around 28. And unfortunately, those were my max reps. So in order to succeed the challenge, my plan was to perform the push-ups and pull-ups throughout the day, 5 different sessions spread out by 3 to 4 hours. Unfortunately, that pretty much never went according to plan, and I eventually settled on a rhythm of 3 sessions per day. However, after just 2 days, on the 3rd day, we were forced to take a rest day because my body couldn't handle it. But wait, didn't I say I did 30 straight days of 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups? I did, in the second phase of the challenge. The first 30 days, I only did 16 out of 30, which would be 4 days out of the week, which isn't too bad actually. But here's where I learned the first important lesson. Expecting success in the first round is simply foolish. The first round is for learning, getting feedback, and adjusting. It's basically a warm-up for round 2. And luckily, I was in the mindset that I was gonna be doing this for 100 days. Otherwise, I might have just given up and considered 16 out of 30 the best I could do. Without phase 1, I never would have been able to succeed this challenge at all. Actually, to be honest, I felt like it was impossible to do 30 straight days to begin with, and even starting the second phase, but ironically, that still made me curious to try my best. Phase 2, struggle. So after the first phase of 30 days ended, I rested for about a week and began my revenge match. This time, I was extremely determined and much stronger. I could perform 25 push-ups and 10 pull-ups with no issues. But regardless of how I felt, during week 1, I wasn't even sure if I could still do every single day. I was simply in the mindset of just listening to my body and doing as much as possible. But once we reached day 6, I started to buy into the fact that it might actually be possible to do every single day. That's because in the first phase, 5 days in a row was my max streak. And breaking that limit and record unreasonably started to make me feel unstoppable. That's the second powerful lesson, the streak. There's something absolutely enchanting about seeing a number go up every single day because of the work that you're putting in. Whether it's a simple Duolingo lesson, a photo sent on Snapchat, or in my case, 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups, after you complete that task and check it off, it feels good to see the streak number increase. For this challenge, I used an app called Habit to keep track of my numbers and also to write down the reps I did in sets and any notable changes. I've learned that having a structure to keep track of the streak and the numbers for me is extremely important for motivation and consistency. Another part to this lesson is breaking past limitations. Somehow, by going past my previous record of streaks, it made me feel like a brand new person, someone who can now achieve way more than before, and I wanted that feeling to continue. Simply breaking personal records is a huge confidence booster. However, after week 1, things got a bit rocky. Despite a new record of finishing 50 pull-ups in 4 sets, doing 13, 12, 13, 12, towards the end of week 2, it was really painful to grip the pull-up bar because of my calluses. And somehow I ended up getting a little internal bleeding on my right hand, like under the callus, probably because I was gripping the bar way too tightly. So it made it very, very painful. Not only that, my forearms were slightly in pain, and my chest and lats were just constantly sore. So it was pretty difficult. The desire to keep up the streak and reach 30 straight days overrided it and kept me going. but I eventually found myself at a crossroads at the beginning of week 3. There was a day where I was working an audio engineering job in LA and then seeing friends afterwards on the same day. So my expectation for that day was that I needed to drive out at 4:45 a.m. in the morning and I'd get back around 10 p.m. Considering all the pain and soreness, I seriously just considered resting that day. And honestly, a smart person probably would have. But I was around at day 15, the halfway point. A part of me just felt like I had to at least try. So I did. I woke up at 3:30 a.m., did only 5 pull-ups in one set, and used some soft gloves to soften the pain. I did 25 before I left, had a full day of filming, saw some friends, went back home around 10 p.m., laid on the floor for 30 minutes, dead tired, but I forced myself to get up and pulled out another 25. I knew after this day, it was gonna take an actual real injury to get me not to at least try. And somehow, miraculously, my body began adapting and I felt less pain and soreness and managed to do consistently more pull-ups moving forward. And here lies the third powerful lesson. At a certain point, it becomes more of a mental game than a physical one. Sometimes you need to push beyond what you think you can do, so then you can unleash what you're actually capable of already doing. I put in the work to strengthen my body so I can physically do it, but my mind hasn't caught up to what I'm capable of yet. So I kept pushing, basically all the way up to my limits. I do want to stress, however, soreness and fatigue does build over time, and it is actually better to rest. If it weren't for the challenge, I would definitely have rest days. I'm actually still confused as to how my body accomplished higher and higher numbers as time went on. I really don't fully understand that, but it worked out somehow, and I didn't get any serious injuries whatsoever, thankfully. Despite feeling like I started getting weird muscle spasms in my arms and shoulders entering week 4, I broke my all-time record for pull-ups. I slowly built up to 15 pull-ups in a row, then out of nowhere, on day 28, I did 17 pull-ups in a row, unplanned, and probably could have done at least one more, but decided to play it safe and not injure myself. 15 or 16 was my all-time max back when I was in my prime. Doing this challenge for 60 days not only brought me back to my original prime strength, but has made me the strongest I've ever been in my life regarding pull-ups. And speaking from the future, I've managed to achieve 19 pull-ups in a row now. That's one away from my childhood goal of 20 pull-ups in a row. And as a bonus, I regained the ability to do some not so great form muscle-ups after the challenge. So that was pretty awesome. Results and takeaways. I know that at the end of the day, from the outside, this challenge simply looks like me just doing a lot of push-ups and pull-ups, but honestly, from the inside, I feel like a lot has changed. This was less of a physical transformation and more of a mental one. This challenge was extremely powerful and impactful for me because it proved that I have the power to be consistent. It's instilled an unshakable confidence that even if the challenge is difficult or things get extremely tough, I can still get it done. It's truly an empowering feeling knowing that you can do something challenging that you care about for 30 days without missing a single day. This is the first 30-day challenge I perfectly accomplished after I got back from my adventure in Japan, and it proved to myself that I'm ready to move forward again. So that was my challenge of doing 30 days of 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups. I'm curious if you guys have ever done a challenge like this one. And if so, what was it and how did it go? I'm getting deep into 30-day challenges, and I've recently completed one that has massively changed my life for the better. I'm excited to share it with you guys, so be sure to like and subscribe to catch that video. In the meantime, consider checking out my video about my 130-day journey in Japan, or perhaps my personal channel where I post about current challenges that I'm in the middle of doing. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.